Hello, everybody. This is Meredith Loughran, and I have a special guest with me today. I have Cody Renee Cameron, who is featured in a Full Moon Features presentation, Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger King. Now, we are expecting Robin to show up, and if not, that's okay, because we have plenty to talk about. It's just, just us girls. So this is going to be a lot of fun. How are you, Cody?
I'm good.
Yeah, so you are hailing from California, and let us know what you're doing out there, how the weather is, and how you are handling the shutdown or the great pause, as I like to call it.
Ooh, the great pause. Well, I am in Hollywood, and it's a gorgeous day outside. I feel like the first 2 weeks were a little crazy because I'm such a workaholic. I'm a bartender and actress. I just started getting into directing, and I felt like everything was like kind of on this awesome snowball, getting bigger and bigger. And then it was like whoosh, and everything just shut down. Mm-hmm. And so I think like most people, I like loved the first 3 days, and then I had like a mini breakdown. And now I've just like really gotten into the flow of things. I basically started my own company creating content. Like, it was before you just post like free pictures on Instagram or like cute little videos. Now I'm actually like making money off of it and doing some writing, and I have a little dog named Cheeto. And so I set up like a little area in my back patio, and I call it Cheeto's Boot Camp. And that's where we work out because all the gyms are shut down. So
that's so funny. Well, we were talking about that pre-show. Is like right before we were getting on here, my dog was out, busy with her squeaky toy and everything. And you just never know what's going to happen live streaming, So I'm just letting people know, be prepared. Anything could happen. We could have our significant others walking by, handing us a drink, maybe, hint, hint, or right? That's okay. That's okay. And an occasional squeaky from the dog toy. But, I was looking through your IMDb credits. You have like 64 acting credits.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. I mean, how did you break into acting, and, what motivated you to follow this path? And how was your family about that?
So I've been out here in LA for 8 years, but I'm from Southern Illinois, like a small foot washing Baptist town. And so when I got out here, I was like a deer in headlights. I've like never been to a nightclub before. And the first 2 years were kind of just a wash in terms of like career wise, but I had a blast. Like I got on a private jet for the first time, and I went to like Vegas for the first time. And it was I just like experienced life. But then I've been seriously doing it for 6 years. So, you just start by like taking acting classes. Really, people always ask how to get into it. Well, I didn't really have any experience. I did like shows in high school and stuff, but no real experience. And then you start collaborating, you get the agents and the managers and start auditioning and booking. And yeah, but so I knew I wanted to be an actor when I first saw Cats the Musical on VHS in junior high. I like never had really been exposed to that. Like we just do like sports where I'm from. And so I love sports and I'm good at sports, but I saw this like stage theater thing happening on my tiny little TV. And I was like, what is this? And if you've ever seen Cats the Musical, whether you've seen shows or not, you're like, what the fuck is this? And so I like wanted to be a part of that. And I wanted to transform, like I wanted to like take people on a journey, and like, if you're stressing out about something for like an hour and a half, you get to like lose yourself in this like cool fantasy world. And so I'm just like, I fucking love it, dude.
I saw that you have a couple of stunt credits too, which is kind of surprising because you're kind of a petite person and you're doing this. Yeah, you're right, exactly. You're teeny tiny. I'm like, nobody has the right to be falling out of spandex. I'm sorry. But so what kind of stunts and what made you, did coming from Illinois help with that, because you were kind of sports oriented and things? I mean, you obviously keep in shape and stuff like that, but are you ever afraid of getting hurt? And tell us a little bit about those stunt credits.
Yeah. So, I definitely have like an athletic background. I played sports growing up and then grew up like, hunting and fishing and like shooting guns and stuff. And then I got out here and I started dating this guy who got a motorcycle. And then I rode on the back for 2 weeks. And then I was like, dude, fuck this. I want to ride. I want to fucking drive the motorcycle. And so I like took a class, everything. Man, if you either watch a YouTube video or like sign up for a class, I'm all about that. And so I started riding a motorcycle, and then like, again, the universe just magically kind of threw it in my lap where people were like, oh, hey, we need a girl on a motorcycle for this. And because I'd had the acting credits already, people like knew of me, and you don't really see that a lot. And so I just started like, oh, it's not over the table. I'm so excited. I just started just like doubling for girls on motorcycles. And then it would be like, oh, well, can you take a hit? Like, can you do a fall? And then I was really into it. And so I started taking stunt classes and like wire training. And honestly, I love that a little bit more than acting, just because like the stunt team too, like you walk on set and people are like, those people are badass, as opposed to like as an actor, sometimes they're like, oh, that girl's going to be like so high maintenance and like, whatever. So I like,
yeah, you're just like this little powerhouse, and I don't want to call you little, but I mean, you are petite. Again, you are petite and you're just this powerhouse. You can probably kick some ass, no doubt. So, what I want to do is, this was just recently released. It actually had a May 15th release, and it is Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger King. I keep saying the Lion King, but I said it right this time. Yeah. And it's actually the sequel to Corona Zombies. And I do have the trailer. I want to play that for our audience here because, for me, it was a little odd. I've experienced the B movies, but I haven't actually sought them out because there's such a cult following, and you almost have to be like, you have to have that desire and that humor and stuff like that. And believe it or not, as I was watching this, my first reaction was, what the hell am I watching? And then it kind of got into like, oh, I get this. And it was kind of funny. And I can see the attraction to it. So I just want to play the trailer so that people can see what I'm talking about. Right. Hold on one second.
There is coronavirus, and then there is Tiger King, and nothing else.
Isn't he like the hottest? Oh, he makes me want to purr. Meowie.
Is that Joe Exotic? That's Joe Exotic.
This is BPN, Big Pussy Network. Big pussy all the time.
Hi there. You must be little Joe Exotic. You look like a boy who just loves the jungle.
Who the fuck is this close talker?
I'm sorry to report that the plane carrying young Joe Exotic has crashed into the Amazon.
Hey, monkey! Where the fuck am I? I'm starting to get a serious case of swamp ass. Put me down! I know what you're up to. I've seen To Catch a Predator.
This child was sent from the great tiger god above. He is a sacred being, destined to be worshipped. He will reign a realm called Netflix.
Get down! My God, it's a piñata shaped like the coronavirus. These headhunters certainly have a sick sense of humor.
What does it feel like to go from being Tiger Tangler to like full-on celebrity?
It's pretty crazy, actually. I didn't expect none of this. I didn't think it'd ever be this big.
We are going to save the Tiger King!
I should have prefaced this by saying this is an adult show. Well, we do. We mostly have an adult audience, but it took for watching the entire thing, and I realized it wasn't until I got to the end where I was like, it's an interview. It's interviewing the interviewers for a short interview with John Reinke. Is that how you say it? And then it's like a movie within a movie for your viewers. And I was just like, there's a certain amount of warped common sense around that. And knowing that this is the sequel to the Corona Zombies. And I've seen the term Corona Sploitation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you guys been like actually keeping busy through this? Have you been shut down at all? Has this affected any kind of production?
Well, so for these movies, they're only what we're actually shooting, because again, you saw that it's mostly an overdubbed movie or other footage. We're shooting like a half day, and we're definitely social distancing. We even make fun of that in the Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger King. In Corona Zombies, I was the only actress. And it was right before the shutdown. And then, Tiger King, we joke that we're 6 feet away the whole time, and the whole crew wore masks. And it's like, there's only like 6 people there. So safer than going to, the grocery store.
Right. And at the very beginning, you had to, I saw that they kind of brought you in, kind of like Star Trek, they kind of beamed you in, and you were running away from zombies. And then at the end, you were doing the same thing. Yeah. And we have Robin here. We're going to add her to the stream.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going? Sorry, I'm a little...
That's okay. See if is this a better view? We like this view better. I think we like that view better. So we just did the trailer for Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger King. Woo-hoo. And I was just saying that it was like the interviewers are interviewing. It was like an interview within an interview within an interview in a movie within a movie, and I was just like, okay, that's a little bit mind blowing. And it's like, it's such a good idea because, it's like that storytelling, but it allows you guys to do this, where Cody was just saying that you're able to film in this, the great pause, as I like to call it. And it doesn't really stop the production at all, because you kind of do your own part and then you move on and you send it off to somebody else. So that's a bit of fun.
Yeah, like Inception.
So now, are you two close enough so that when you say, hey, let's film this, you can kind of do that? I mean, how is that affected?
You mean we just met.
Oh, really?
In terms of where we are in California, or
no, I mean just like, well, you know what, the dynamic on film is like you have actually been friends forever.
It feels like it. Well, I'm a huge fan of Codys, so
thank you. Our personalities are really similar. Like we're actually both really super business minded women, and kind of have serious acting careers also. But then we can totally play the super ditzy BFF.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like we're
so
funny. Be BFFs for a while.
Yeah. Well, I noticed, with the really bright colors and the way the hair was and the spandex and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm thrown back into the 80s again. I mean, and it was such a fun decade. It really was. I mean, just wild and crazy and stuff like that. So, so we got to know a little bit about Cody as far as her acting credits, Robin, and, being a stunt double and things like that. But I did a little bit of research on you too. And you've been acting since you were 8.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So, I mean, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I cheated here. I have my notes. You've had appearances on Drake and Josh, which that's a show that I know, because of my kids, Masters of Horror, CSI, and things like that. I mean, how did, obviously maybe you were 8 years old and you were telling, mom and dad, I want to be an actress. What was your path?
Yeah. So I love to play pretend, and as a kid especially, I wanted to get attention, which I don't know if that's a good thing, but I really love acting. And so when I was a kid, I was like, this is what I want to do. And my mom was very supportive always of whatever you want to do it. So there was something, I grew up in Colorado, and I did this thing called the Peanut Butter Players. And it's like a professional children's theater group where we got paid money and we served lunch while we were acting, which sometimes like I spilled the drinks. I'm not going to lie. Like I'm not the best waitress, especially at age 8. And so, yeah, we did that and we would do the plays, and the director was very strict. So if you messed up, she was like really mean, but that was really good because that means that you strive for perfection. And she has a lot of famous people like Sutton Foster. She won a bunch of Tonys in Broadway. There were some people from Planet of the Apes in the Peanut Butter Players. Like there was a lot of people who came out from it. And I grew up, one of my friends, our family friend is Jessica Biel. And so she went to my school and carpooled with my sister, and her brother was in my class. So she, in high school, she was going, well, first, I got into film when I was 14, and I did in Colorado, like a bunch of industrials and like Christian, like different kind of projects like that. And then I was just like, I really want to come to California because I know that's, you have to do that. And I had auditioned for this movie called What Women Want, and I almost got it when I was in Colorado. So I was like, feeling the itch, and I was like, must come. So my grandparents lived in California. So when we went in here, I basically was like, I'm going to set up a bunch of auditions with agents. So I got one, and then my mom's like, we're not moving to California. Just because you've got an agent doesn't mean you're moving. But Jessica Biel moved, so she basically got our principal to allow her to graduate from our school and still go. So my mom's like, well, if you can get the principal to agree that you can graduate from the school, then you can go. So I was like, sounds great. So I got it approved. And in my senior year of high school, my mom didn't think I was going to get approved. And all of a sudden we're moving. So I moved to California. And I did like my schools online, and I went to a football game and prom and graduation for my senior year, but while I was here in California, and just got it started. So yeah, it's been a really fun experience, and it's just like, there is no path with acting. Everybody has a different path, and it's just like sometimes you think you did the worst audition ever, and you like cry, and then all of a sudden you book it. You're like, okay. So I feel like there's no right or wrong when it comes, you just do your best, you have fun, and if you get it, cool. Yeah, it's been a fun experience.
Yeah, very cool. Well, you know what? We have to pay the bills, so I'm going to drop in a quick commercial break, and then we've got my co-host Matthew in the green room. So hold on one second here while we play this.
We'll be back right after this.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out. All right, and joining us is Matthew. Hey, Matt. I keep calling him Matt. He hates when I do that. It's Matthew.
Hello. And this is Lady Geek Live, and so I'm not usually a part of the show, and of course my dogs start barking the second I
we were just talking about that.
Okay.
But I am a huge and a long time Full Moon fan. I've watched Puppet Master from way back, and Doll Man and Demonic Toys. These were all those movies that I loved as I can't say kid, but older teenager and young. And so of course when this came across my desk, the press release, and I read through it, and then I just binge watched, the Tiger King, and Meredith at the time hadn't seen Tiger King, and I told her, I was like, you're missing out here. This is a train wreck that you just can't stop watching. But and I've been in the back room. I missed the first part of the interview, so y'all have to forgive me if I ask questions you already answered. But and Cody, I'll throw this to you. How is it working with Full Moon? I mean, these guys have been around for a good while. You know, Charles Band is.
Yeah, Charles Band, I did, he's been producing stuff since 73. So I was 2. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he's so amazing to work with. They're such a well-oiled machine, which I'm so grateful for because they're super efficient and cool and fun to work with. And they have these wacky ideas and then they just go for it. I love that.
Now, this was your second movie to do with Full Moon. Is that correct?
This is my 4th one with them, actually.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
See, didn't do my research, did I, Mary?
Oh, it's okay.
No, because it was Corona Zombies was the prequel to this. So what were the other 2 movies? And Robin, were you involved in those too?
I've done other Full Moon movies, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Halloween night, Meet the Ouijas together, but I think my part mostly got cut. But you see me in the background. But we were in Vegas together. We ran into each other in the elevator.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Matthew, I was saying that, like their dynamic on the screen, it's just, the way they interact with each other. It's almost like they've been friends forever, but they really haven't been, and I think that that speaks a lot to dynamic and personalities and things like that, and work ethic also, so that is really cool to see. What's it like going on the set with somebody that you've never worked with before? Can you both speak to that?
Well, I definitely think, acting is an interesting thing because it's basically like taking a not real story and preparing it in a way in your mind that it becomes real. And so I feel like, because when Cody, when you originally did the first, the Corona Zombies, so she had filmed it and I just only did the voice. And so I had kind of prepared in my mind, but I got to watch her because of the social distancing, I filmed it all on my phone, the voice. Mm-hmm. And I already felt connected just like when I was talking, with the voiceover. And so I already felt like I was already kind of BFFs. And then for the fitting, we connected for like a moment and I was like, okay, already connect. And I feel like, I honestly feel like Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger. Like I feel so connected to you, Barbie, and I feel like we're BFFs. And I just feel like as an actress, you live the characters, the stories, a relationship. You kind of build them like as though you have had a friendship for your whole life. And so when you walk into a set and maybe you don't know the person, the soul, or I don't know, the embodiment of the person, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That's so crazy you talk about the phone thing in the Corona Zombies because it was the opposite for me. I'm acting and I just have some guy in the corner reading her line. And like at first I'm really on like and I'm trying to be like, well, oh my God, and then we had somebody else read the lines who was like, and then like, and I was like, okay, trying to react to that. So it's all about like reaction. And so whatever the other person is giving you really affects what you're doing. So yeah, that was really interesting. I feel like I had something else to say, but now I forgot.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
But so now the question I had. Oh, go ahead. Before you lose it again.
Well, so actually, if you watch Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger King, we filmed the interview with John Reinke first. It was the first thing we'd ever done, and so. But it comes like towards the end of the movie, so our chemistry isn't really there yet. Like we're just getting used to each other. Yeah. Because I actually thought that I was going to be like the ditzier one and she'd be more of like the straight man. And then it turns out she went way more ditzy. And so like I pulled back a little and that just happened to be our chemistry. But that wasn't really set up in the interview yet. And so if you like read any of the people's comments about it, they're like, oh, it feels like you kind of dropped character in the interview. And I was like, bitch, it was like 7 a.m. and we didn't really like know what we were doing yet. But yeah, so it definitely is interesting to like look back on it and see how it like turned out.
Well, also the interview is like 25 minutes long. So I've actually seen the full interview because this computer I'm talking on right now is actually the computer we used on set. And so you'll see more of your actual character pop up when it's longer. But I find it so interesting. I'm looking at our shirts right now, Cody. We're wearing the same outfit.
Pretty much.
Like we're both wearing like a black tank top. I'm just like, okay, cool.
I had to wear my tiger pants.
Oh, cute. Well, mine's more just like a lacy top, but I was just like, wait, we have so much chemistry. I can't wait to just do so many movies together with you. It'll be fun.
That's the thing that I was going to ask, is because the Barbie and Kendra, I mean, you've launched this thing and there's so much potential for more movies. Can you tease into like what might be coming next? I mean, what are you guys working on?
It's the Space Force.
Yeah, we're in full moon fashion. Yeah. We have to go to space.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So we haven't gotten a script yet. We don't have any idea what we are about to encounter. But we do know it has to do something with space and force.
Mm-hmm. So sexy force, hopefully, not forcey force.
Yeah.
But I see it as like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but like the girl version, like Barbie and Kendra's Adventures.
Now,
yeah.
With the scripts and everything, how fast do you kind of churn these things out? And do you have any participation in writing the script? Like, are you like, here I am, I'm saying like a lot, sorry.
That's fine.
I think it's like fine. You guys are rubbing off on me.
Okay. Energy is contagious. I think the last two movies I've gotten the final script like 2 days before. So, but you get like a rough draft. Charlie's really good about sending out like, oh, here's kind of a piece of what we have. And then you kind of look it over, and they're definitely really awesome about open to taking suggestions. And especially as the actor, normally you give your suggestions once you're on set. Like you don't really get to be a part of the writing process, at least in whatever level that we're at right now. But yeah, it's definitely because the writer has a different vision than like what you have, especially if they don't know who's playing the part yet. And so sometimes what you say will make sense if you say it, if you tweak it a little bit. And so Full Moon for sure is definitely just like letting you be creative.
Yeah, for sure. And I know like when we were filming, all of a sudden, Barbie and I, we felt like we needed to dance and do a song. So we we said, Charlie, I know that we are filming and everything, but we feel inspired to do this song. Anyway, apparently it was not good. But he allowed us to do it, and look, it could have been good, and who knows? But definitely, there was a past movie I did with him, Evil Bong, and when I read the script, I fell in love with the Gingerweed Man. Like, I connected with the Gingerweed Man in a way like true full love, and so the script was not originally written where I was in love with him. So I told Charlie, I was like, I don't know why, but I'm feeling like he's like my soulmate or something. Like I'm falling in love with him. And I don't know if there's any way to rewrite the script, but I would love for him to be my soulmate for life. And they literally ended up rewriting the script. And, now I feel connected to Gingerweed Man in a very deep way. So there are moments where, you can play. I mean, obviously there's a structure and a framework. Even when we did the interview with John Reinke, a lot of those questions we asked were scripted actually, but then he would say things that we could play based on what he said. Obviously, what he said to us was not scripted.
Yeah, no, that must have been really interesting to interview him because I mean, honestly, to this day, I still have not watched the Tiger King series, and I'm one of the few, I think, and I think that's purposeful because I have enough addictions, and I hear that people get really caught in the rabbit hole as far as watching that.
It's a good show. If you feel inspired.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that, and there's probably a reason why, but what was it like to interview him? And I know that we didn't get to see the whole interview. So, I mean, there must have been a lot of stuff that he might have imparted as far as like how crazy it was to work with the Tiger King and in that zoo and stuff. I mean, is there anything that you can kind of share with us as far as that?
Yeah, do you want to go first, Cody?
Well, I guess John is such like a likable person, and I feel like sometimes it's easier to like get certain things out of people. Like you can like manipulate your questions to get certain answers, but he's like such a nice person that I don't know. I just want to like hear him talk, and like it's kind of hard to get him to like dish dirty secrets as like much as we try. But he did have some really interesting things to say, like how he basically didn't make any money from the whole Tiger King thing, and that's like heart-wrenching because Netflix like cashed out big on that. And his I was just really blown away by his loyalty. Like he was just really loyal to his friends, and even the people that turned out not to be his friends, he's like, it's in the past and I don't want to say anything bad about them, and I like really admire that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. He's so sweet. I know that like, so the day before we shot, we had to make sure that he could do like the Zoom call. And so we did kind of like a mock Zoom call, and he didn't understand technology that well. So he was with his girlfriend. They were trying to figure it out, and they're like, we can't get on, like we're going to try. And it was so cute. And then he finally got on, and everything. But yeah, I would definitely take away, he's such a great guy. And I know after watching the show, and I know you haven't seen it, but I was like such a huge fan. And it was amazing to like, as a human, have the opportunity to ask any question we felt like. I mean, just to have this opportunity in this moment. I was so nervous, like before, in that day in the morning, like everything was leading up to just that interview for me. And it was like, once the interview was done, I was like, okay, we can play. But it was like my heart was racing because that show made me just fall in love with him, and it was pretty amazing. I can't wait for everybody to see the full interview. I think Full Moon is going to release it on the app.
Good. That was what I was going to ask, is if that was going to be available.
And it's 25 minutes long. There's a lot that he says and uncovers that is not in the movie. Obviously, I know Charlie wanted to put like more and more, but you can't have the whole movie be the interview. So he will release that separate. But yeah, it was quite an experience. I really enjoyed it, and he's such a great person.
Well, out of a cast of characters, and I do mean characters in Tiger King, John, for me, came across as the most respectful, or respectable, I should say. It was very inspiring, with the loss of his legs and how he just kept going. And like you said, he was loyal. I wanted to move it back to the Tiger King, and I'll ask both of you: is Joe innocent, and is Carol guilty? Cody, go first.
Well, I wore my handcuff necklace in solidarity.
You're so cute.
I really feel like Joe's character is like really over the top, flamboyant, eccentric, and like not a nice guy, right? John Reinke, nice guy. Joe Exotic, the opposite, But I do feel like he was kind of like coerced and like entrapped into this confession of like really wanting to kill Carol Baskin. Like I judge it by like if he had a gun and nobody would ever know and he shot her, like would he choose to shoot her? I don't think so. Like I don't think he's a killer. I don't think he legitimately hired someone to like legitimately kill her. But I think he probably deserves to go to jail for a little bit, but like maybe not a lifetime.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I have a huge heart for Joe, and I feel like he's just like a circus act, and he just wants to like be funny and whatever. And yes, Carol Baskin, like basically John told us that Carol, basically coerced him, and wherever he was, she would like basically stalk him. And like I feel like any normal person, if somebody's trying to destroy your life for years on a daily basis, it would be stressful. But I think all of the things he did were funny. Like I think Carol is totally guilty. I think she absolutely killed her husband. I feel like, I don't know if there's proof of that, but that's what I believe based on the the show and what I saw, and I feel that he was taken so advantage. Like, I feel like she was treating the animals just equally as he was, but she was attacking him for it. I feel like her cages were smaller than his, and like their heads were inside those things. And Joe had, so I feel like it was a competition thing. And I feel like a lot of what he was doing was jokingly, and that, and then he got set up. I feel like John was basically saying that Jeff was kind of like, was a part of the bad side, and I feel like from the show I got that, but hearing that from him too. So I almost wonder if maybe it's possible that Jeff and Carol kind of like teamed up together somehow. I don't really know.
Have you seen those? There's those conspiracy theories that like Jeff is Carol's like first husband or whatever. Or
interesting.
I did just see yesterday or the day before, where there have been multiple handwriting experts that have said that Carol's husband's signature on the will and power of attorney is traced. It was not his signature.
I legit believe that. Because even they were saying that like his will said, "Oh, if I disappear, nobody has."
Yeah,
it.
who said that? Also for Joe, like to come to Joe's aid, like when like little children like misbehave and then they get attention from their parents and they're like, oh, I got attention, I'm gonna keep doing this. Dude, every time Joe does something, the more extreme he is, the more people give him attention. And so why not be like, I'm gonna blow her up, and all the crazy shit he says, you're getting more attention, and that's your ultimate goal, to get attention. So why not? I think it's important to think.
And seeing the antics that he was doing, with the Carol doll and all that, I was cracking up laughing, because I can understand being that frustrated, that pissed off, and you don't have an outlet. And so he had that avenue of, where he's doing his films and people are watching them and liking them. And so of course you're going to take out that frustration. And I happen to agree, after watching the whole thing and then reading up on it since then, I do think Joe was set up. Sure, he said time and time again, I'd love that bitch killed, or I want her dead.
Yeah.
But who hasn't said that in their lives? I've said that about exes, and I've said that about bosses. I've said that about a million different people. But am I really going to hire somebody to go kill him? No. But so I think circumstances led to Joe being a perfect storm, whether it was Jeff and Carol or Jeff alone. Jeff is a shady SOB, going and looking at more of that stuff. And I know they were still operating during coronavirus, and Oklahoma came down on them because they were still trying to make money. And I think that's what it is Jeff saw a way to bring himself back and to take over something, and to take it over, he had to get rid of Joe. Is there any plans for another, a sequel to Barbie and Kendra? Save the Tiger King?
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Good question. I mean, we have the Space Force, but are we going to come back to the tiger world? Maybe.
There's definitely more.
The way that you ended it was with zombies. So I was actually wondering if you might be doing a sequel to that, and kind of circling back.
Yeah, I think the Space Force is, because I guess, Space Force is definitely next, but who knows? You never know. I'm sure, look, we might make 10 of these things.
Yeah.
And I did see. Go ahead.
So what's it like when you have a script? I've seen, just from my own experience, I haven't done acting since I was in like a high school play. But I've seen, when you have the scripts and things like that, and you're kind of sitting around the table and you're reading through. Have you been able to do that with, because we've been shut down? Have you been able to kind of sit around and listen to everybody else's part? I know that you kind of superimposed this, the TV show, The Great Gatsby, into this. Were you involved in kind of sitting around and listening to the whole story, or did you kind of just get your part and have to do that?
I didn't even know what we were going to watch. I just knew it had Joe.
Yeah,
Like,
some of the
lines, I watched the movie. Yeah.
Some of the lines
Wow.
don't make sense because you don't know what's happening on the TV. Like the line about there's this, I guess, chick has a coconut on her head, and I was like, I'm saying something about coconuts, and I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So they had to like walk me through what's happening so I know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we actually had to ask Charlie. We're like, "What are we watching on the TV?" And basically, like, we filmed the whole thing in 5 hours. So we would basically do the take, and then Charlie would be like, "Look at the TV. Oh, there's Joe Exotic. Oh, he's looking so cute. Oh, what is he doing? Oh, he's doing something bad." So basically, he was basically just guiding us to have reactions to a TV, but the script we got was only our stuff. And we imagined what we were pretending to see, but what I imagined was not what was on there. So it was actually really fun later to watch the actual thing that we were pretending to watch.
Now, is Space Force scheduled to be filmed under quarantine conditions as well, or you all starting to move back into the studio?
No, California is still shut down until they're saying maybe August. So we'll do it the same way, like super safe, social distanced, a crew of like 6 people in a house of somebody that we know, kind of thing. So.
Everybody has masks, and like they did 3 cameras so we could get it done quick. And the cameramen were like 6 feet away from each other. So, and even in the movie, like we have the social distance. So I imagine we'll probably still have that. In the Space Force.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said about the quote Coronasploitation, because you are actually churning out material during this time when so many other people are shut down. And I've seen people who just said, you know what, I'm just putting down my pencils for now. I'm taking a vacation or whatever. And I'm like, this is the time where you need to be the most creative. This is the time when you can do your own writing or get on your cell phone and make those movies and put out so much content. I mean, that the potential is there. What are you two doing at your respective homes as far as creativity? Are you doing your own writing? Are you, drawing up storyboards and things like that? What are you doing at home with, I want to say free time, but I personally don't have a lot of free time. I think I've been a lot more busier since everybody's shut down. What are you guys doing?
So you want to go first, Cody?
You go first.
Okay.
No, you go first.
So I have a business with my mom. And so we actually did masks. So we created like facial coverings, and we've been like selling them, all over and stuff like that.
That's with Sorbets, right? Yeah. Sorbets.
Right. Good job. Yes. And so that's been keeping me really, really busy. But in terms of creativity, having this time, I feel extremely creative as terms of an actress, I feel. And I do feel blessed that we have this opportunity to play during these times when most people don't get the opportunity to. But I mean, just like even just watching a lot of movies that I never would have watched, I always get inspired by, how other people do it. You always kind of learn in your inner brain. So I don't know. What about you, Cody?
Well, we were talking before we started recording, and I was so busy before this, and now I'm busy, but just in a different way. I've started like creating a bunch of my own content and selling it online. So like on Mondays, I do a photo shoot, especially like with I love doing sexy stuff with my motorcycle.
Where can we see that?
Right? Oh, I have like
Instagram, right?
Plans and a Patreon, and I'm sure we'll like link them somewhere or something.
That sounds
but that keeps me so busy. Actually, while everything was shut down, I went up to the Hollywood sign, and it's closed, but I like snuck in, and we like took some like really sexy photos that you would never be able to get because there's always people around.
So that's totally weird.
Yeah, exactly. And then I write. So I've been writing a little series about a girl that comes from like the South, and she like moves to Hollywood to follow her dreams, and all like the hilarity that ensues, because it's literally just my story, because I had no idea, like when people asked me what I was doing, I was like, oh, I'm an actress. And they're like, oh, are you SAG? And I was like, yeah, I'm a Sagittarius. How did you know?
So cute.
for people watching that don't know, that's the Screen Actors Guild. So anybody that's an actor would understand that, like, that's the union. Like, yeah, you either are or you aren't. And I just thought it was a zodiac sign because I literally knew nothing. Yeah, so that's been like really fun to like write that and hopefully produce that as, you know, when we can start producing things again.
That is so
oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That's
yeah.
I love
now, how did y'all first meet the folks over at Full Moon? You know, did you just audition for a part, or did y'all get hooked up with them and then you know, started reading for different parts? How did that happen?
Do you want to go first?
You can go first.
So basically, when I moved to Hollywood, you go to all these auditions and stuff. And so I had actually booked this movie called The Lost, and I had like maybe 2 months to film or something. So during that time, I was still going out, or 2 months to prep. So I got this audition for the Ginger Dead Man, and I'm like, this thing is so weird, like so weird, Ginger Dead Man. So anyway, I go to the audition. And the casting guy, first of all, I did not know I was supposed to be Southern. And so he's like, oh, yeah, you can just do it in your Southern accent. I was like, cool. So then, like, I did the audition. And in the middle of, like, this, you know, intense part of the conversation of the scene, the phone rings. And the casting director's like, okay, hold on just a second. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So then, like, he goes, picks up, talks to the phone. And actually, it was great because my nerves started kind of, like, calming down a little bit. And he comes back. He's like, sorry about that. Okay, let's start from the beginning. I'm like, great. So we did it again. And then the phone rings. He's like, hold on just a second. And then he goes, picks up the phone. And I was like, okay. So then I come back. And then after that, he's like, I'm just going to let the phone ring. So then the phone's like ringing through the audition. And I was just like, this thing's like, I walked out. I was like, I am not getting that. This thing sucks. So anyway, I get a call back. I'm like, what? And when I get to go back, like I had like extra darker brown hair. Everybody at the callback had blonde hair. I'm like, oh, they're just looking for a blonde now. Like, why am I even here? So I did it and whatever. And then they bring me back again. I'm like, what? Like, it would be so funny if I got this weird cookie thing. So I was in the audition room and there was this guy and he looked, you know, I was like, let's just like read together for, I don't know, let's just read together. So we were reading together our scene in the waiting room. And there was like a million people all over. And anyway, he gets called into the room. And then I get called into the room after. And that's when Charlie, so it was a director session. So Charlie Band is there. And then we did it. And then I booked it on like a Friday. And then I didn't get the script till like, I feel like it was like Sunday. And then we started shooting on like Monday. And the person in the waiting room was the guy that actually ended up playing my boyfriend in the movie, which was cool. And so even though I had booked The Lost first as my first movie, I filmed The Ginger Dead Man first as my first movie with Gary Busey, which was a very intense experience.
Oh my God.
That was my first full moon experience. Yeah, and I've done, I don't even know how many full moon movies since, so. That's how
I just auditioned for Ravenwolf Towers. Oh, I couldn't remember the other one. Okay, I auditioned for Ravenwolf Towers, and it was just, you know, kind of like, they always have like the hot topless girl or like the sex scene or whatever. So I was like that. And then I came back for Halloween night and same thing. It was like, oh, just like this tiny little scene and ended up getting cut. And then so I bartend down the street and one of the guys that works with Full Moon always comes into my bar and he was like, oh, Charlie has this idea. You'd be perfect for it. And then like had a call with him like while I'm bartending and he's like, I think he's going to call you about it tomorrow. And then Barbie came to life and I don't know if they'd had other people in mind for it and it was just like right place, right time, or if maybe they had me in mind all along. I don't know. But
I think it was you. I think it was always you, from what at least from what I've heard.
Thanks. But yeah, that's actually really funny too, because I worked with Jake Busey on a movie pretty recently. So we got the Busey family down.
That's so cool. Hey, Cody, you want to know something funny? You might not know this. So you know Ravenwolf Towers, which, by the way, you were really good in. So I went in to do some kind of voiceover. And when I was there, they had me do, like, there was some audio in your scene that, like you couldn't hear when you were screaming or something. I actually screamed for you.
Oh, that makes sense. It sounded, I was like, that's not me screaming, but like, okay.
That was totally me.
That's funny.
I screamed for you in that movie.
I would say you had a scream, but I don't know if you're gonna blow out your microphone.
Yeah, there was like some sexiness, like breathing. I had to breathe for you and like do some screaming. Yeah.
Next time I need a breather, I'll know who to call.
Yeah, I was like, it was pretty funny. Yeah. But you did a really good job on that show. I know, I didn't know if you knew that. It was funny.
I didn't. Thanks for sharing.
See, we're getting some insight on Geek Insider.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So it's really exciting to hear. I'm looking forward to the Space Force one now, because again, it was one of those things where I didn't know what I was getting into when I started watching it. And I have to admit, I was just like, what the fuck? Because it was like, I'm watching this really like bad movie, like what you guys were watching or supposed to be watching, it was just like, and this voiceover, and it was just like this little kid who had like this old man voice, and I'm going, what the fuck am I watching here? And then I saw that you guys were doing the interview, and I was just like, oh, it's like the interview, I'm like, I'm interviewing the interviewers of somebody that you interviewed, and I was just like, that's kind of cool. That's a little mind bending. And
I said we're in an Inception sequel here,
Exactly.
I know. Every time like Little Joe Exotic with Leslie Jordan's voice came on, it just made me laugh so hard.
Yeah, we were so lucky to have them.
Yeah, we were.
So now, what is on your bucket list as far as who you want to work with in the future, or like what other type of projects? Have you thought about maybe getting into like drama or just other types of genres too?
Do you want to go first?
So, like, yeah. So who's on your wish list to work with?
So the first movie I ever did was The Neon Demon, directed by Nicholas Refn, which was a fucking dream. But so Keanu Reeves is actually in that movie, but he wasn't there the day that I was there. But Keanu Reeves is like my childhood crush. And so I would like die to be in a movie with him again, where I got to like to be in a scene with him or like actually meet him. But that's because he rides motorcycles and he's like so cool. I guess I've like almost seen him at like a bunch of different places. Like he'll be at the bar that I was just at, or like he's at this motorcycle meetup group thing or whatever. And then I got to actually like walk the red carpet behind him at the Neon Demon premiere. But I was like so new and so shy. I wasn't gonna be like, yo, Keanu, what's up? That's also crazy because I'm like naked in that scene. So I'm like, dude, Keanu Reeves has seen me naked. That's crazy.
OMG.
Yeah. But yeah, I love Keanu Reeves, obviously. But like, dude, some like badass babes like Margot Robbie or like Charlize Theron. There's just so many like powerhouse women like that I would love to work with. Who, Scarlett Johansson. Yes, I mean, I feel like my list could go on and on, but those are just a couple.
How about you, Robin?
I'm like obsessed with Rachel McAdams, and I have a little Geek Insider story. It's going to be really embarrassing, so I apologize in advance. So basically, I do love Rachel McAdams, and I have wanted to work with her for a long time. And I went to this Chinese restaurant in California. And I was seated at this table, and it was it's like a booth facing out. And right in front of me, she like sits down at a table. And it's just like, I'm staring at her. So of course, I don't even remember who I was with. I was just staring at her. And it was probably not nice because I'm never starstruck. Like to me, anybody who's in the industry is just a person and a human being. And there's really no difference between different people. But I was like, so starstruck. So, it's a Chinese restaurant, and what happens at a Chinese restaurant? Fortune cookie. So, at the end of her meal, she, of course, opens her fortune cookie, which she finds her fortune to be very interesting, and she leaves it on the table. And I'm like, I need to know what her fortune is. I have to know what it is. So anyway, I asked my boyfriend who was with me, and I was like, can you please go get her fortune cookie? And anyway, she got it, and I kept it with me for a while. It's really embarrassing. And so anyway, but I would love to work with her. And, you know, I feel like there's so many great actors in this industry, and it's really cool because when you get to connect with somebody that is, you know, it's like it kind of brings your level up because you're with somebody who's interesting. So I feel like there's so many actors that I would love to work with. But I would love, hey, Cody, it'd be so much fun for us to do like kind of like a Charlie's Angels kind of fun, like Dixie Bond movie. Maybe a Charles Bond.
Charles Bond.
Charles Bond.
I'm in.
That's amazing. And so, and you could do like I don't know, the fortune cookie thief or something.
Yeah, I know it's a little it's a little like, am I admitting this right now? But like it did happen. It's a little.
Well, at least you weren't leaning over in the booth like smelling her hair or something like that. That would have been kind of creepy.
I mean, I feel like I've never had that feeling before where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so-and-so, like ever. Usually it's like, oh, it's so-and-so, cool. But this was just like, oh my gosh, like drool. And she's right in front of me. I mean, I don't know. It's super weird, but I love her.
Now, what about like a different genre? Have you ever thought about, you know, like doing maybe an action movie or drama, anything like that?
Yeah. Well, I did like a movie, kind of an action movie called American Muscle. But I mean, yeah, action, drama, I love it all. I mean, I feel like any story that you get an opportunity to play in, whether it's drama, comedy, acting, like I know there's different categories, but I do feel like it's a story and you get to play different, you kind of get to jump inside the body of somebody to play at that given time. And so, yeah, I think yeah, of course I would love to play in all of that.
How about you, Cody?
I started doing a lot of horror in the beginning. I think it's because it's easiest to book like the hot topless girl roles, and so that's kind of like how you get your start. But then I like to think that I have pretty good comedic timing, so I feel like I like book dramedies. And I really haven't done a lot of dramas, although horror can like kind of be considered drama. There's definitely a lot of drama in there. But they're totally different styles too. So I feel like whatever I start doing, then I start to book that only, you know? And so dramedy has like kind of been my bread and butter. But I would love to like actually have a movie that's like in post right now called Girl Lost. And that is like, it's a really heavy drama. So I'm so excited for the footage for that to come out and then hopefully maybe start the drama route a little bit.
So and how about locations? Where are your favorite locations, or do you have like a dream location that you want to shoot in?
Well, I booked this movie, and who knows, with given the circumstances, if we're actually going to film, but we would be filming in France. And I feel like that sounds really fun. I did do one of Charlie's movies in Italy, and that was really fun. So I just feel like definitely somehow when you travel to a different place to film, even if it's a different state, it's like your brain can just become the character, like you're living in that world because it's separate from your normal world, if that makes sense. So yeah, but so I was fortunate to travel like as a kid because my dad's a scientist to like 30 countries and stuff. So I've been around the world a lot, but definitely in terms of acting, it just kind of plugs it in a little differently.
That's so interesting you say that because opposite, I am not well traveled at all. I haven't really traveled very much. Before I moved to LA, I'd never been to the West. So, and like, I feel like I like filming in Hollywood and then like in a studio because you can control the environment of a studio. Whereas like if you're filming outside, it might be like really hot or really cold or really windy and you're like constantly fighting everything. Whereas like a studio is more controlled. And I know that sounds like a really boring technical question, but when you've had to jump in freezing water so many times, you're just like, no, I just want to be inside. But I love adventures and everything. But also you run into, like I filmed a horror film for 2 weeks in Detroit, and coming back to my hotel every night after going through this like really intense, like a rape scene, for example, then you come home to like this like dingy hotel room by yourself, and it can like, the reality of being the character does start to set in, and I got like really depressed and like scared, and I just like, when I came back to LA, it took me like a couple months to like get out of it. Like I kind of slumped into this like weird depression from this movie, and it taught me, one, that I felt like I was a really good actor because I'd like accomplished something in my psyche, but of like getting into this character, but also like made me really aware of like being really careful with that kind of stuff and like checking in on your mental health and all that stuff. So I haven't got to film an out of the country movie yet, but that sounds really exciting.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of segues into the next question is when you're taking on a role, I guess everybody does it a little bit differently where they decompress. So do you wait until after filming, or do you try and go home after a shoot that day, and decompress and just say, okay, I'm back to me, and then you go back? I mean, what is that dynamic like to be in a totally different role? Do you try to carve back yourself at the end of the day, or do you do that at the end of the film?
I would say, it kind of like depends on what you're shooting and what your shoot schedule is. Like if we're shooting every day the same thing, then I'm going to kind of like stay in it. And I can tell that like my personality changes. Like it's really weird that you like the girl Lost I play like this really manipulative. She's like an older, mature character, whereas a lot of the stuff before I play has like been really ditzy and like da-da-da. And so I like just found myself like going into this like really dark, like manipulative place. And it was just really interesting. But I like wanted to stay in it because it just felt more authentic and it's almost easier, instead of like going up and in and out and in and out.
And I bet your friends were like, what the hell, Cody? Right?
You don't see your friends, especially if you're shooting like, 12, 15-hour days. You're literally just you're coming home and you're waking up and even, you eat breakfast as that character and like, and even before you start shooting it, like the day before, I really want to start to like get into her, or I put myself in certain situations, like if I'm bartending, I like bartend as that character, or it changes the energy of everything and the way people react to you, and then you can use that information with your characters, like how you're reacting to how other people are reacting to you, like in scenes and stuff, and it's just like, oh, it's so crazy because it's all make believe, but it's also like fucking real, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do feel exactly like what you said. It's like, okay, so we're human beings, and that each, like when we're acting, it's actually we're actually living those experiences. Like I know it's like cut, action, take, whatever, but like it's actually like a real experience. It's a real experience, and sometimes those experiences are very intense and they're very affecting. So it definitely, I mean, when I'm playing a character, I would say that I build the story, deep from my child, like wherever the character's childhood, because most humans, when they have an issue, it stems from a childhood, right? And then but of course, as I'm filming, I mean, I have so many, I mean, I do a lot of horror too, so I have a lot of nightmares. There's a lot of nightmares that happen when I'm filming, and that's just natural. So I definitely think throughout the entire filming of the experience, I'm like, experiencing it. But I will say sometimes if you have to deal with a very intense situation in the movie and everything's kind of building up to that moment, and once I finish filming that particular moment, it's almost like I feel like I feel like a release has happened, I guess, because it's kind of like Cody, you said you got raped in a scene. That those are very intense situations. So, I feel like for me, when I have those kind of really intense moments, it's like, okay, that's over with. And then you can kind of focus on the rest. Yeah. But there are all parts, there's feelings that I still have. Like if I look back on a movie I did and there's somebody that I was in love with, or like a dangerous, or, an experience, it was a real experience. So I can still look back on that and actually have a real memory as though it was kind of real. It sounds really weird, but it is a real experience.
No, and like building on that, like if you're in love with somebody in a movie and you're together, especially if you're out of town for 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever together, and then you kind of like come back, it's like such a mind fuck. Like you really do, you're in those scenes for so long and building this character that like if you like when I leave an on-screen boyfriend and come home, I feel like I just got dumped, honestly. And like you kind of go through this like breakup, fake real breakup that's happening. It's like it's so crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Matthew, you have anything else to say? Because we're just crested the 1 hour mark here. And I know that you ladies are probably very busy or Well, it's probably, no, it's after lunchtime. So you probably have a few hours before you need to go out and eat dinner. But we don't want to keep you too much. Matthew, do you have anything else that you wanted to ask?
Well, I was just doing, some cyber stalking while y'all were talking there. And well, A, I'm a geek, and B, I'm a guy. So when Cody said she was topless in movies, I was like, hey, wait a minute. But Cody, did I just see that you were in Playboy?
Yeah, that's actually another way that I got my start here is I went to the University of Illinois and I worked at Hooters and I got scouted for Playboy while I was at Hooters. And if that's not the most cliche thing you've ever heard, I don't know what is. Yeah, so I represented U of I in College Girls and then did a bunch of their side issues. And then I used that to parlay when I came here. When, again, I didn't know anybody or know anything, but I would just be like, oh, I was in Playboy. And then I could get on the red carpet. I could get into parties. And I emailed Playboy and let them know because their headquarters, they have a headquarters here. They have one in Chicago too. But and then I started doing Playboy TV, Playboy Radio. And that really helped me build relationships that way. I had something to sink my teeth in a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I've popped balloons with my boobs and played all these weird games like Can a Bunny Make a Funny? And oh my gosh, just stories like that. Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Well, I mean, that's it though. You have to take opportunity where you can, and it's not an easy path and not everybody can do that, so I really have to commend you for doing that because a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, well, she just got in because, she's flashing boob and stuff like that. But there's more to it than that. You've got to have some kind of talent. You have to have some kind of hunger to pursue this field because it's so competitive and it's not easy, and like I said, this particular movie was very campy and corny, and it kind of threw me back into the 80s and even now I'm sitting here going it's throwing me back. Yeah, it's throwing me back into the Valley Girl. Oh my gosh. and it's fun. And that's really what it's all about because it's all about entertaining and, making people smile and getting over the real life stuff that we're dealing with. So I really appreciate you guys. Is there anything that you guys want to share with our audience?
Where they can find you,
where we can follow you. Yeah,
definitely. So my social media is all streamed. It's all the same. It's at Hey It's Cody. So Hey It's Cody. So it's CODE. It's all social media. And then I have an OnlyFans. So it's for fans to come and you can buy exclusive content there. And I'm always storytelling and posting things that I don't post anywhere else and things that aren't appropriate for IG. So if you want to spice things up, come to my OnlyFans. And yeah, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. I've got a song on SoundCloud, iTunes. It's just all, if you look up Hey It's Cody, you'll see it all.
So cool. I can't wait to check that out. Yeah, and I'm not the best at social media. I'm beginnery. So I'm Facebook. I'm Facebook, but I'm learning about other social media outlets. But if you do want to connect with me, that's where I do go to. But I just want to say to everybody out there, I know these are very difficult times and it's all of us together through this process. And I feel like creativity and watching movies, and we hope that, this movie helped kind of give you a little laughter during these times, but just stay safe and, it's really difficult times for a lot of people. So, yeah. And you guys are amazing, by the way. You guys, thank you so much for doing this interview. You guys did such a great job.
Well, we really appreciate you. And it's a lot of fun. Again, with Geek Insider, we try to get inside the geek a little bit. And so it's not all promo, but actually talking to you as people, getting into the process, what you do, your history and things like that. But Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger King was released on May 15th. And it's a lot of fun. And you can watch that, I think, on Roku and through Full Moon Features. Yeah. Definitely.
And just remember us the next time you're with Charles, you can say, hey, Matthew and Meredith over at Geek Insider really love Full Moon.
I'm trying to pick his brain too.
I want to pick Charles' brain. And I I just got another press release that he's got another one coming out, and it's actually a Puppet Master movie with Blade. So I'm like, when this all started coming along, my geek just came out because, like I said, I was back. I think it was the very first Puppet Master movie is when I found Full Moon, and we are big indie lovers here, indie actors, indie writers, directors, and we're even having a con in July that's just for indies. And so having the opportunity to meet you ladies and having, Full Moon here, it's a pleasure. Anytime you all have a project going, whether it's with Full Moon or you branching out, reach out to us. We'd love to have y'all. We, like she said, we love that insider info. We like making friends with those that we've interviewed. And so anytime you guys got something that you want to promote, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you again, especially when Space Force starts coming. You got to come let us know the inside info on Space Force.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And Cody, I want you to do one more twirl to show off your tiger pants.
My Tiger King pants.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, leg action.
Now, were you holding
break in half?
Were you holding a stuffed tiger too? I keep seeing like a tiger tail or something. Are you holding a stuffed tiger?
No, I think the butt is just. You're trying to look at my butt because it's really cute.
So cute. I can't wait to see your fun tiger motorcycle videos or pictures.
Oh my God, that'd be really amazing. Thank you guys. We're gonna end the broadcast now.
So
and
y'all don't have to
hang
leave.
out for a little bit. Hang out for a little bit.
Okay. Bye.